Start the streaming. Oops. Hello, everyone. Hopefully that wasn't too loud. I just realized my thing just spiked like crazy. My name is JJ Asgar, and we are on our second stream of doing some Elasticsearch stuff. This is Thomas Kate. Say hi, Thomas.
Hey, everybody.
Last week we played around with some very basic Elasticsearch work, and we kind of showed how to spin up a cluster and get it all coming together. And this week we are going to step it up a notch and make it a little bit more secure, because honestly, a lot of issues nowadays is with Elasticsearch and security. Do you want to kind of talk about that for a moment, Tommy?
Yeah, so by default, if you remember from last week's stream, there was no authentication for anything we did. If you could hit 9200 on that server, you could insert data, you could delete data, you could view all the data. And if you've been watching the news, there have been a couple big data leaks because people have accidentally left Elasticsearch exposed, put all their important data in it, and then somebody found it and got it all. So what you really want to do is lock it down a little bit. Now, up until very recently, all of the authentication stuff was closed source. So it was a for-pay feature through Elastic. So AWS, or the Amazon guys, actually released their own fork of all of the security that they called Open Distro. And it was released as basically a Git repo, and they had an RPM and a couple other things. And I used Habitat to build all of that. And then it made a handy way to quickly stand up a cluster that has encryption, authentication, SSL, everything. And then also it gives you an easy way to manage the whole cluster. So that's what I kind of wanted to dig into today.
Awesome. That seems very reasonable, very helpful to everybody. So we did spin up a cluster last week. We named it ES1, ES2, and ES3. And we discovered that we put dashes in the name, which actually caused some problems. We actually all learned something during that.
It actually caused us to learn something, so I think that's the opposite of a problem, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. No, you're very good point. Very good point. Well, this week I went ahead and shut those machines down. They're still out there, but I rebuilt the machines. And honestly, I hadn't actually thought about it until this moment, where I renamed them ES1 or ESO-01, ESO2, and ESO3. So we have blank machines sent to us of machines, so we can start building up. So, Tommy, you went ahead and sent me some commands, did you not?
I did. We're going to start by installing Habitat.
All right.
So there's a curl to bash that we have, which I know a lot of people get some heartburn on that one. But if you could run that on the 3 machines, that'll get Habitat installed.
All right. So we're installing Habitat here. We don't need a web browser up anytime soon, correct?
No, not for a while.
All right. So I'll open up another window here. Oops. If I could hit the correct buttons. And root at ESO2. So for the people who don't know, what is Habitat?
So Habitat is a couple things wrapped into one. It's a build system. It's also a distributed supervisor for your app, as well as a package management system. So you can build a thing with this tool and then use that to install your thing and all of its dependencies, kind of separate from the OS.
I heard it was do something with containers. Is that right?
You can use Habitat to actually build a container, and some people, when you do that, you basically have a Habitat supervisor running as PID 1 in the container, and then you can use that to kind of orchestrate actions among all of your containers. Like, we're using 3 servers right now, but we could bake all of this into 3 containers, and it would work pretty much identically.
No, okay.
It is nice. It is actually pretty nice to use Habitat to build containers because it doesn't end up like layering on top of it. It just builds a fresh container that only contains your app and what your app needs to run each time you build it. So you don't end up with like the old Docker thing where you got like 20 different layers of containers on top of each other.
It happens all too often. All too often. All right, so I installed Habitat on each, and now what I'm going to be doing is this next command, which is install Open Distro something something something.
Yeah, so Habitat packages always have 2 parts to their name. The first part is the origin, and the second part is the actual name of the package. And if you watch, this is going and downloading Open Distro. It's also going to grab a few more things. It's going to grab Java. It's going to grab any tooling that I needed when I built it.
Some BusyBox, huh?
Yeah, that's actually all the Habitat stuff is built on top of BusyBox, so you're pretty much always going to see that in there.
Okay. OpenJDK 11.
Yep. I tried to make this completely open source. As far as I'm aware, there are no closed source libraries that snuck in.
Okay.
So it's OpenJDK. It's using the open source only distribution of Elasticsearch from a tarball, and it's building all the AWS stuff, which is all Apache 2.0 from scratch.
Awesome.
Did you run this on that 3rd machine as well?
No, I'm going to wait till when this is finished in SSH and do it that way. We have a little race going between these 2 machines, and being that my screens I can only really fit reasonably 2 terminals at this size on my text, that I didn't want to mess with it too much.
Yeah, because this is pulling out all of the dependencies, you're downloading all of Java, so it does take a little bit to get everything.
No worries. So with the work we're doing, will we be able to use something like Let's Encrypt to create new key or certs and all for this, or is that?
Yes, you can use pretty much any SSL certificates you want.
Okay.
It is a little bit picky about the format, so you might have to convert them to PCKS12. But yeah.
So in theory, we can actually get that fully done today.
Yeah. When it builds it, it's gonna build it and put in default certificates. But you can drop any certificate you want and then do a hab config apply, and the new certificate will get distributed to every server in the ring.
Awesome. So wait, what's a ring?
So yeah, I mentioned earlier that Habitat can be used as a distributed supervisor. So essentially what you can do is have the Habitat supervisors on all of your nodes communicate with each other, and they'll use a protocol called Gossip to pass config changes and stuff like that around. So instead of going to each of these 3 machines, once this is all set up, you can just put a config change on one of them. They'll pass that change to all the others, and then they'll restart the service if necessary, rewrite any templates, and basically give you an easy management interface for a large number of boxes.
Nice. So
now if you're going to do this in the wild, you would also want to lock down Habitat, which is something I'm not going to get into today.
Okay.
But if anyone's like listening to this, there's tons of docs on that. You can encrypt the Habitat traffic and you can authenticate it. It's just not what we're focusing on this talk.
So could you have, to speak about multiple machines here, could I have my machines distributed across the internet, for instance, like in multiple different locations with a ring, and have that encrypted back and forth?
You could. I wouldn't recommend it though, because you're going to be having all of these gossip data as configs change and as they do checks on each other going across the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I would just do one ring per location, or possibly even one ring for a stack or an app.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. All right, so we have it now both installed there.
All right. The next thing we're going to want to do is set up Habitat to run as a supervisor, right?
Okay.
And to do that, we're going to just make a systemd unit file. And I gave you a path earlier, and you just want to edit a file there.
And do you want to go through what this file does?
Yeah. So systemd, it would be nice if this was pre-set up for us, but it's not. So basically, this is just launching the Habitat supervisor with a few arguments and letting you manage it with Systemctl like any systemd service.
Okay.
The arguments we're running, -- no colors, just makes our logs a little better. There's an upgrade strategy you can put in there, which tells it if it sees a new version of one of your Habitat packages, it just automatically upgrades it. We don't want that to happen on our Elasticsearch cluster, particularly if it was a prod one.
Okay.
PureWatch file is a file that we'll write out to give it the IP addresses of other machines that are on the ring, so it can find them when it comes up. And then permanent Pier has to do with how they manage their data in the ring. It's basically saying this is going to be around forever. If this was a Docker container, you wouldn't do permanent Pier.
Okay.
You would leave something like that off. And your PureWatch file would probably just point to a long-running container or something like that that's always going to be there.
All right. No, other than that, it's a pretty straightforward systemd file.
Yep. We do want to write out that PureWatch file and literally just put the IP address of all 3 nodes in it. Put that on each one.
All right. IPA. So that is IPA. So vi etsy hab.
Check the unit. It is hab underscore Pier underscore watch. We'll give one bit of warning. I'm actually actively working on this Habitat plan, so there are a couple bits that are pretty hairy that I'm going to call out because those are going to go away fairly soon.
All right. There we go. So then we need to put.
Yeah, if you put that file on all three.
Yep.
But yeah, this habitat stuff is actually very similar to the automation Chef is using right now for setting up Elasticsearch clusters for customers who are using our Automate stack, which is why we suddenly became interested in open source and security for Elastic.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, we don't want to be responsible for our customers having a data breach. So.
All right, that is on all of our machines now.
All right, and you should be able to do Systemctl start hab-soup.
Start.
Let's make sure it comes up on the first one.
Like this?
We didn't. Yeah.
No errors?
You can do Systemctl status hab-soup, and it'll tell us how things are going.
No.
It exited. Can you do journal ctl -f?
Device or IP address resources busy.
Can you see that PureWatch file? I wonder if something is already listening on the ports it's trying to use. Can you do netstat-ntlp? Oh, yeah, we'll have to yum install that.
Nope.
Yeah, just 22 and 25. Let me see that error again.
I'll make it bigger. Hang on.
You can actually make it smaller. Well, it depends on the people watching.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I meant the text. Error 16. Oh, can you go to that PureWatch file? I think I know what happened, and I think it's something kind of silly.
Is it because there's an empty line at the end?
Yeah, I bet you that's it.
Restart?
Yeah. And then just tail the logs.
There we go.
You should see it start. I'm going to send those guys a bug report on that.
Alright, so let's go back over here. Yeah, let's see. PureWatch. That one doesn't have it, so Systemctl start hab-soup. And then come back over here, or then journal-f to make sure that looks right. And I can go to 3. Systemctl start hab-soup. journal -f. That looks right.
Cool. So try curling localhost :9631.
Curl local host 93. Sorry.
Sorry, 9631.
31. That's a lot of information.
I think I'm lagged behind. Ah, there it is. So, and that all came back in HTML. Add a /butterfly to that.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of JSON.
So let's get JQ on here. So we'll do hab package install.
JQ static.
Core /JQ -static. And add -b to that, which will bin link it for you.
Should I install this on all of them or just this one that we're going to do work from?
Just this one.
Okay.
If we need it on the others, it takes a couple seconds. This is just a little quicker than tracking down the yum repo it's in, because I don't think it's in the standard repos.
There we go.
And scroll up a little bit. I want to see the start of that. So they don't seem to see each other, because he only knows about himself.
That is correct. I see that too.
Try curling the IP address of a different one in that same endpoint.
Oops. Oh no. So curl (172.16.0.129). No route to host. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
so do
we had the IP tables problem last time also, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do IP tables -save, because that'll give you the same format that your rules get entered in. All right. So do you see that reject? That's forward. See that input J reject? Yeah. Do copy that line and replace the A with a capital D. And then put IP tables in front of all of it.
So like that?
Yeah.
Do
the D is for delete, so it's saying delete a rule that looks like this.
There we go. And now 129.
Now there are
they see
two members.
Yeah, but that's not the same IP as this one.
No, there are two members. That's the IP of the two members.
Yeah, but this IP is 36. So this guy is not part of this ring.
Okay. Have you dropped that IP tables rule on all three of them?
No, just 1 and 3.
Yeah, drop it on all three of them, and then because you should get the same output from all of them. So I think it'll change the order around randomly.
Okay.
Yeah, you should probably take that rule out of your system image.
Yeah. Nope. So
it does take it up to like 5 seconds to show up.
failed.
Try this on your. You don't have JQ installed on that box.
Ah.
But you can curl any IP address you want from this box. On your JQ, add member.members after that period.
Members dot member.
Now, member singular and then members plural. Yeah. Also, you're missing an M. There you go. Add a dash S to that curl while you're at it. All right, so one of them's not joining the ring for some reason. And you said this is the one that's not showing up in the ring?
Yep, IPA, grab inet. You'll see 136.
All right, so change that curl to be localhost. Oh, it's just not showing itself. So, yeah, so this one is alone for some reason. Do netstat-ntlp. So, from ES2, try to curl this one. And it doesn't matter if we don't have JQ, we just want to see if we get response.
Is it 136?
Yeah.
Yep.
Try 9638.
9638 is in 78.
Yeah, and take the butterfly out.
So like this?
Yep.
Nothing.
Interesting. Let me see those IP tables rules again.
On ES1?
On the one that doesn't have any friends. (9638) doesn't listen for HTTP, but I thought you'd get something back.
Oh, hold on. Is it this one? No, that's not it.
That's forwarding. Yeah, we don't care about forwarding. It should be an input. Surprisingly complicated firewall rules for a VM that's completely isolated.
Yeah, this is the default. This is what CentOS 7 comes with now. Every image I installed.
Whoever packaged that VMware image.
No, I installed it from the ISO. Yeah.
So it's got a bunch of different input zones. Try restarting Habitat Supervisor on this one. When in doubt, just turn it off and back on again. Yeah. Give it a couple seconds.
Nope.
You journal CTL-F. Did we get any logs when that came up?
It started happy. It didn't like this one.
Yeah, it uses default logs if it doesn't have that. Do journal CTL-F on the other box on ESO2.
We should see things talking back and forth.
I don't know if it actually, I don't think it logs every time someone else shows up. I assume those root logins are all you, right?
Mm-hmm.
See if you can telnet to that 9638 port from there.
Oh, from this guy?
Nah, from the other one. See if you can get to it.
Nine six.
You want a space and then 9638. Yeah.
Oh. Yum, install NetTools. Much? It's not NetTools. What is it?
I think it's just telnet.
Really?
Yeah. I think our next one of these pairing sessions should be on how to build your own custom image.
Cute. Cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
All right, so it can connect.
Mm-hmm.
You just give it the, yeah. Oh no, you give it a closing bracket like it's shown there, and then enter, and then Control C. I think it's escape, close bracket. No, the close bracket, not open bracket.
Yeah, I did.
Sorry, Control, close bracket,
Yeah.
then quit. That was all muscle memory, and I had to like sit here and think, look at a keyboard and go, how do I get out of Telnet all the time?
I feel like this is a tweet waiting to happen.
God. All right, so let's do the curl again and make sure that ESO1 hasn't finally joined the cluster. Yeah, no, not that one. That's we want to curl 9631 and then butterfly. We'll do it on ESO1 because that one has JQ and that's where it's in your history.
Nope.
That is downright annoying. Try restarting the service on ESO2 and see if it picks up, if it connects to and grabs ESO1. Also, cat out that have PureWatch file. Squeaking sound. So they have the right IP addresses for each other.
Yeah, it's just... Is it... I mean, it's always IP tables whenever I seem to touch CentOS. Would it be just a good idea to turn IP tables off? Or no?
Good. Well, there were some forward rules in there. I don't know if there's something going on.
Service, IP tables, stop. IP table.
Systemctl. But IP tables is a kernel module, so the rules are in the kernel. There might not even be a service related to it. Clear curl. There are a couple ways you can clear all the IP tables rules, but it's been years since I've been doing a whole lot with IP tables rules. Here's a giant hammer.
Alright.
From server fault.
Nice.
And then if you do iptables-save, there should be a lot less output.
Yeah, there's literally nothing.
Yeah. Well, it still has all those different chains and stuff. but it's not, doesn't have any rules in them. All right, try running that on ESO2 as well.
Ah, come on. Copy paste, why'd you fail me?
Because your terminal is automatically putting things in the copy buffer if you highlight it.
I know, I like it that way.
But that's why your copy paste failed.
Nope.
Let me see the that habitat unit file we wrote earlier. It's really strange that two of them are working fine and one of these VMs is not. So what's different about this one?
That's the same to me.
Yeah, nothing snuck in when we pasted. And then the same PureWatch file. And we checked earlier, it has the same contents.
Looks like they all can talk to one another. So it's a habitat problem? Is there a habitat log we could look at to see why it's doing this? Or is it all done through this butterfly thing?
We could probably turn on debug output. Check real quick, curl that endpoint on the other one and make sure we don't have anything weird like IDs that are the same between different boxes. Wait, so you're running it on the box that doesn't have JQ?
Oh, yep.
Yeah, you want to do that on the ESO1 box.
Oh, on the...
Yeah, because if you're putting the IP address of the box that you're connecting to, you just can run it over here.
One 172.16.0. What's this one? 102. Nope, IDs are completely different.
They should be. I was making sure that at some point we didn't accidentally copy a file around or something. Never actually had any issue getting them to cluster up before. Cat out that PureWatch file again. All right, and it was hab underscore Pier underscore watch, not like dash or something.
Mm-hmm.
Is the ownership of the PureWatch file, like, are the permissions different on the different boxes?
Root.
But it's readable by everyone, which is the important part.
Yep, same.
Here, let's stop the supervisor on all 3 boxes.
All right. Actually, I'll keep logged into this one.
Yeah, you don't need to log out of them. Just stop the supervisor on all of them. And one by one, we're going to start it up.
Okay.
Do the curl, and you should see.
Itself.
Yep. Try starting it on 03 right there. Alright. Stop it on 03, and we're going to change the unit file.
Okay.
Edit the supervisor file.
The service file?
Yeah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
So remove PureWatch file and replace it with just --Pier. So that line is wrapping, it's just a long line.
--Pier?
Yeah, and then the IP address of ESO1.
It's 36. Like that?
Yeah. Alright, now start it. And do like a journal CTL-F. Look at the logs.
Looks like it started.
Okay, do that curl again.
Nope.
So it's really acting like it can't talk to it. Like even if we tell it specifically, just go try to join this ring, it's not seeing it. Run that curl again. It's not just taking it a while to connect with it.
Nope.
Run that again with a -B.
Oh, damn it. I knew I forgot something.
It won't reinstall it, it'll just bin link it for you.
It's connected to the other one.
Yeah, they're seeing each other, no problem. But there's something up with ESO1 where it's just not pairing with them. Try doing the same thing with ESO1, but putting --Pier and then the IP address on one of those two. Because if you connect to just one member of the ring, they'll tell you about everybody else. Should just see it come up.
Nope. Oh, whoops.
All three of them should see each other right now.
Nope.
Wait, that curl to 102, that curl didn't work?
Correct.
Like at all?
Yeah. Nothing.
Take off the -S and take off the pipe to JQ.
Connection refused.
Well, there's your problem. So why can't this one talk to whichever one's 102?
This is the one we did the crazy IP table stuff on.
Well, 01, so 03 can talk to it, but 02 can't. Is there anything going on in networking inside of
Oh, we're not running this on here.
Oh, I thought you. Oh, okay, yeah. Start it up.
There we go. Yep. Still can't seem to get 01.
Restart this one now that it has the permanent Pier added. And the permanent Pier is actually working.
Okay. Nope.
Try this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Stop the supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Do rmrf/hab.
All of it?
Yeah, or just move it to hab.back.
That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, we can reinstall anything we need to. Rerun the, yeah, just restart the supervisor and it should put everything back in there. We might have to rerun the installer, but I don't think so.
Didn't like it.
Oh yeah, bin hab was a symlink into there. So stop the supervisor and rerun the installer from earlier.
Off it goes. All right.
You're gonna have to reinstall JQ, by the way.
Oh, I forgot the B again. Ugh.
think my screen is lagged because I don't see anything after the journal CTL-app.
Yeah, it looks like it picked up.
Yeah, and it's installing all the stuff it needs.
There we go.
Supervisor. Are all three seeing each other now?
Yep.
Yeah, you might want to bake a new image before the next class that doesn't have any IP tables shenanigans in it.
Yeah, it seems reasonable. Seems reasonable.
All right, so let's install Elasticsearch ODFE again, because that got blown away when we nuked /hab.
Okay. Where the hell was it?
Go search for install.
Alright, that didn't work. Give me a second.
Just do hab package install, like hab pkg install. I could just tell you the command, it's like one line. There you go. So while that runs on O2, can you run hab SBC status?
No services loaded.
Cool. That's because we haven't actually started any yet. So do hab SBC load.
Hab SBC load.
And then it's going to be open-distro / elasticsearch -ODFE.
ODFE.
Yes.
So like this?
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can do journal CTL-F and you should see it come up.
Failed to start.
Oh, sorry. Run that again as unload.
Okay.
And then do user add hab and then load it again.
There we go. Now looks like a lot of Java.
Yeah, that's what you should be seeing. It'll give you some scary warnings about different things, but there's nothing to worry about usually except that error. Virtual memory VM max count is too low.
Is that what this is right here?
Yeah. Go up a little bit, about 5 lines above that. It's a kernel tunable.
Okay.
And Elasticsearch, I'm pretty sure we ran into this last week as well. We had to do a sysctl command to increase the... I just sent you the command.
No, this doesn't look familiar. Do I need to do this on all the machines?
Yeah, but let's get this one working first and see if there's anything else we need to tweak.
Okay.
Just do journal CTL-F. If the service is loaded, it'll try to restart it. So once you fix the problem, it should come right back up. All right, try doing a hab service stop and then a hab service start.
Hab service stop.
Yeah, and then open-distro elasticsearch-ODFE.
ODFE.
And then just do a start on that. And tail the logs. Supervisor stopping. Do Systemctl status have -soup?
Systemctl status have -soup. Looks healthy.
Yeah. And the last of those log lines was about 3 minutes ago. Do you have SBC status? So, not up. Do the service unload again, and then try loading it again.
Have to wait for it to unload?
Now, do have SBC status. You should see it unloaded.
Nope.
Do a PS, EF, and rep for HAB. Oh, yeah, kill that PID. That's part of the nastiness I mentioned I was going to clean up.
Alright.
It's a thing that starts after Elasticsearch, and then it tries to insert credentials. But it can become wedged, which is one of the problems with it.
Hmm.
And I'm basically making a sidecar service that'll do all of that, but do the unload, and the unload should work now.
Not loaded.
Yeah. Once you killed that PID, it finished unloading it. Now do the load. So that's why it didn't automatically restart, because it was... That thing has a sleep where it keeps checking Elasticsearch and waiting for it to become ready.
Hmm. That looks better.
I'm lagged a good 5 or 6 seconds behind you.
Okay, no worries.
All right. So it looks like it. Yep, you see that inserted default security config. So try to curl localhost 9200.
Curl localhost 9200. Empty reply.
And that's exactly what it should do, because that's not HTTPS.
Okay.
And we no longer allow plain HTTP. So add HTTPS : / to that. You also want to add -K because it's using a default pre-generated certificate at the moment,
Unauthorized.
which is exactly what it should do because we didn't give it a username or password. Try adding -U admin to that.
Password?
Try just admin.
That worked. Ooh,
See.
that's interesting.
Huh.
Gave us the name Chef Insights.
Yeah, that's a default that snuck in from the other work I was doing. Thank you for catching that.
Yep. Take note of that one, Tommy.
Remember the cluster name from last week?
Yep. Take note of that one, Tommy. You don't want that one to bleed out to the world.
That's not that bad. That's just the name that we use for our clusters for our automate stack.
Mm.
So at this point, you have bad passwords and bad SSL certificates.
Mm-hmm.
You also don't have a cluster.
Mm-hmm.
So let's run that sysctl command on the other two, so it'll start up okay.
Alright. Oh, do I need to use user hab also?
Yeah, you also need to add the user hab.
And then we need to load the service, right?
Yep.
And then we don't need to start it because load initially does that for us, correct?
Yeah. In fact, you don't even actually have to run the hab package install. If you do load and it's not installed, it'll go download it for you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. For this, I wanted to walk through the steps so that like you can see the differences between install and load.
That looks a little better.
I wouldn't put take that curl off.
Yeah, I did it too soon. I realized that after the fact.
Yeah.
That looks better.
Yep. It won't form a cluster yet because we haven't told Elasticsearch. We haven't configured Elasticsearch to run in a cluster yet.
Okay.
But once we get it successfully running on all three, do you want to take a brief break?
Yeah, we could totally do that. Looks like it's coming up here on the left-hand side too. That one looks like it's successful up, and this one's coming along. Just thinking about it.
Yeah, you'll know it's done when you see that inserted default security config into ODFE.
Okay. And why is this guy still going then?
I think there is a Java stack trace that is flying by, and we need to see the top of it. So let's get to the beginning of that stack trace.
Does not contain certificates.
So it should have auto. So do you see that path it gave? Look in that folder.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Do ls-lah. So it auto-generates certificates, and it looks like it didn't.
Those are very small files.
Now, let me quick look at how ODFE handles this to make sure that I'm not expecting it to do things that are only in like the dev branch that I'm working on.
Okay.
So all of these are templates that work off of some config.
Mm-hmm.
And if the config is not set, it'll just dump them out.
Mm-hmm.
So when we set up the config for everything else, this one will write out the new config files. So
Okay.
once we put in the SSL certs, this one will rewrite those files and bounce the service for you.
Okay.
So that should actually fix it when we get to that point.
Okay.
So that's not a huge problem yet. Another thing you might want to look at real quick is go up a directory
Mm-hmm.
and cat out elasticsearch.yaml. This is where the actual service configs and everything ended up.
Okay.
So these are all the default settings. And as we have config apply new settings, this is going to get templated out and updated. So the idea is if you put a new setting for any of this stuff on the habitat ring, all three of these nodes are going to update at the same time, refresh their config, and then restart with the new configuration.
Nice.
And you'll see there are some things in there. So ODFE uses the DN of the cert to make sure that it can that members are allowed to be on the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So right now it's saying if there's a certificate that has a DN that matches this, and I see it, and it's signed by the same root CA that I have, allow that guy to join the ring. If it doesn't match exactly, don't let it in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make your own certificates, you definitely are going to want to change this, because I assume that your DN's not going to be signed by Chef Software.
That seems reasonable.
There's also an admin DN, which is there's like the secret way in is instead of using a user password, you can use a certain PEM combination and do mutual TLS, and that'll let you in as an admin. And that's a useful way if you break your authentication, you can use that to get in and fix it again.
Oh, wonderful. So it truly is a backdoor.
Yeah. So you basically end up with more than one certificate. You've got the certificate that the nodes use to talk to each other, the admin certificate. You can also have three, but I basically use the same one for two different things. There's the actually, I might not. Look in that certificates directory again. Yeah, I'm using the node for both communication between nodes and for the SSL that's on port 9200. But it is possible to set it up with different ones for that, but that's not how it is set up at the moment.
Okay.
And I'm about ready to take a quick break.
Sounds good. All right. Yeah, you want to take 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, let's take 10 minutes.
All right, sir. Well, I will go ahead and transition this out and see y'all in about 10 minutes. Hello, everyone. We are back. Thanks for, if you're still around, thank you for sticking around. We are hacking along on trying to figure out how to get our more secure Elasticsearch cluster up and running. And being that it is Friday, I'm expecting to only be doing this for another about 45 minutes to maybe an hour, because Friday, you know, you got to get out of here and go do something else other than computers, right? I'm joined here with Thomas Kate. Say hi, Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
Nice. Cute.
Be here all day, folks.
There you go. There you go. That's why we get along, my friend. And we've already used Habitat to install a 3 machines not clustered for ES using something called Open Distro. And we had some issues with IP tables that kind of slowed down the whole process. And Tommy has promised to spend some time with me to make sure this never happens again. We actually were talking during the break, and guess it will happen. But we are now, we have, if you want to see here, to prove to you we are actually here. We can go over to this, and we have all 3 members inside our ring. Mm-hmm. Right?
So Habitat knows about all the members in the cluster. But right now, Elasticsearch has not been configured in any way for them to talk to each other. So the next thing we're going to want to do is actually configure them.
All right.
Now, essentially, what Habitat is doing is it's templating out the Elasticsearch.yaml. And if it detects that template changes, it restarts the service, which is a lot like how Chef works or Ansible works if you've used tools like that before. So basically, we need to tell Habitat about changes to the config that we want to make. Now, there are a couple different ways you can do that. You can have a local override if you make a folder called hab user, and then in there, you can put the name of a service and put a TOML file in there with some keys. And on that machine, it'll override the settings. But we don't want to go put 3 files on 3 different machines. Like we didn't install this network daemon for doing that. So another option is you can use Habitat to talk to the API and pass it a TOML file and say, I want this applied on all machines in this service group. And then we run it once on a box, and then all 3 should update with the new config.
Wonderful.
So let's start with some basic settings.
Okay.
So open up on any one of the nodes, open up a .toml file. You can make it patch.toml or whatever. You're really only going to have one TOML file. We're just going to keep updating it, and I'll get into why that is later.
Okay.
But if you grab the first chunk of config I sent you, I'll explain exactly what all this is doing.
Okay.
Yep. So if you notice, it looks a lot like the normal Elasticsearch config that we did before. Mm-hmm. And that's because the Habitat plan is just taking this as a hash, and anything under ESYAML is just getting templated out into the Elasticsearch.yaml file. Mm-hmm. So you'd notice that the cluster name was Chef Insights, and that seemed like a problem. Mm-hmm. And you probably want to name it something else. So whatever you want to name your cluster, put that in there. The next is minimum master nodes, which is something we discussed last week in depth, but basically we don't want the cluster to start unless at least 2 of them can talk to each other.
Real quick question.
Which is good.
Yeah. These spaces here, are they important? Is this like YAML?
No, TOML is a little loosey-goosey. I indent it like that because I find it more readable, but you don't have to.
Okay.
But essentially, what you have there is a hash called ESYAML, and then a key under it called cluster, and then a key under it called name, and then Asgard Labs is the value. So we're setting minimum master nodes. If you're smart about how you write your habitat plan, you can auto-populate things like host IPs. I didn't do that, so you're going to have to actually put the IP addresses in there. I didn't do that partly because having this thing come up and automatically start a cluster might not be what the end user wants. So I tried to make it kind of generic. How I actually do this in practice is I have Terraform populate a user TOML file on each box that has the discoveries and stuff in it.
Nice.
So when Terraform starts, they all see each other that way.
Perfect. Okay, so I've tacked these in here.
Yep. And now we're going to want to apply it. So go back to your terminal.
Okay. Is it really that easy?
And no. Well, almost. You need two more things to make it work. So when you apply these configs, they're distributed across via the Gossip protocol. So it needs to know which service you're trying to apply it to. It also needs to know which version this is. So if like different versions of configs are being pasted, it needs to know which one's newer. Now, you can just call it version 1 and then version 2 and then version 3. However, I don't like tracking version numbers, so usually I just convert the date string to the epoch time and just do that each time I do an update, and the version is the date time. So you want to do hab config apply, and then we give it the name of the service group, which is just Elasticsearch-ODFE, and then it's going to be .default. With no space there. So you can have like a prod and a dev and stuff like that have the same name. If you don't specify, you just get .default.
Okay.
I sent you something that'll output the date string. It's kind of a finicky command. So you just want to copy paste that in there. Yeah, so that's just bash for running a command and dumping the output there. And that's just going to put the date string in there in epoch time, and then give it your TOML file.
There we go.
Now, 01 was the one that was kind of broken, right? It didn't have proper SSL. I think I know why that is, but we'll leave that one alone for now. Tail out the logs on one of the other ones.
Things are going on.
Yeah, so basically all of them detected that their config changed, and then they restarted. And I bet you they all have a bad SSL cert right now.
Yeah, error 1, exit 1. Where was it?
So let's put a new SSL cert on this machine.
Okay.
Now I have, if you want to just generate like really quickly some default ones, there's some automation already on the box that'll do that.
Okay.
If you go into hab SBC Elasticsearch ODFE. Let's see if it's going to be there. Go into hooks, and then cat the init hook. So try just edit that real quick. So, okay, try just, you don't need to edit it. Try just running that. Just ._ init.
Okay.
Now go up a directory to your certificates directory. What we're going to do is we just generated some certificates and we're going to put them on the hab ring. So actually, sorry, it's config certificates.
Okay.
That just ran a bunch of OpenSSL commands to generate certs and keys. Do ls-lah on that.
Those all look like actual files now.
All right. So if you look at the TOML I sent you, there's an Open Distro SSL section.
Yes.
Can you grab that and put it at the bottom of your patch?
This one?
Yep. There's a timestamp that snuck its way in there. At the bottom. Yep. So do you see how I did those triple quotes?
Mm-hmm.
What we want to do is cat out the SSL certs and just drop them in this file. Normally you would have your SSL certs from whatever SSL provider you have and you would drop them in, which we can do with Let's Encrypt later. You probably don't want to drop them in on the stream because then people have your certificates.
Well, this is all self-signed, right? So
yeah, these we literally just made and they're self-signed.
So the key file is correct?
Yes. No, you want the PEM. Sorry. It doesn't actually need the key for the root CA because nobody's going to give you that. Okay. This is just so that it can check who signed what certs.
All right, the admin cert. Is this one?
Yep. You can make your text smaller if it makes it easier to copy this around. I don't know if people have trouble reading it though.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm used to it by now. Key. Node cert. Okay.
Yeah, so the admin ones are, like I said, the secret keys to the castle for automated tooling mostly. And the node ones are the ones that actually are encrypting the traffic for the clustered traffic on 9300 and the SSL for port 9200.
Okay. No weird spacing or anything.
Yeah, you want to double check that.
That looks good. Cool. Go ahead and apply it again.
All right. And yep, run that exact same apply command again.
All right.
And now, if you watch the logs, this will restart them all again. And you can watch the logs on ESO1 because that should fix the SSL problems it had.
Node initialized. Change to yellow to green. There we go. That's what that's what we're looking for, isn't it?
Yep. And if you curl underscore cluster / health, you do need to change the curl a little bit because you're going to need -K for allow self-signed certs and -U admin.
No, it's 9600.
9200.
9200. Cluster.
It's a underscore cluster.
Oh, damn, I knew that.
Sorry. And then / health and then $pretty. Most endpoints in Elasticsearch, pretty will give you pretty JSON.
HTTPS.
Take JQ off. Piping it to JQ broke it, but the pretty does what you want. You need a couple /s in there too.
There we go.
But I don't think JQ can handle the password prompt.
Okay.
So you now have 3 nodes. Now, if you notice, you have 3 shards already. So change that cluster health to cat indices. So underscore cat and then indices. And this one does not need to be pretty because it's not JSON. So / and then a lowercase I, NDICES.
Green open.
So you have 1 index in there. So interesting fact. It's storing all of the password hashes in there. And because of that, if your cluster is completely broken, you'll get an error saying Open Distro is not set up.
Oh, interesting.
You have to break the cluster pretty bad to do that. They did something kind of interesting here. That index is set up to have as many replicas as there are members in the cluster. That's why there's 1 primary and 2 replica. So that means if you do a cat on shards, there should be a copy of that index on each node.
Yep.
And there's only 1 shard. They didn't shard it at all. So each one of those is a full copy of the whole password database.
Nice.
So let's change that bad password.
Okay.
And this is another thing that right now is kind of nasty, but I plan on improving it. So the way you set passwords in ODFE is there's a little Java tool you run that will read a bunch of YAML files and then insert them into Elasticsearch. There is a copy already of those YAML files on the box. So let's make a copy of that directory so we don't have to redo it from scratch. It's going to be under hab SBC Elasticsearch ODFE and then config. So let's copy that whole security config folder somewhere else so we can mess around with it.
Okay.
All right, so go in there. Internal users.yaml is the one you want. So you can set this up to talk to things like LDAP and a couple other different authentication methods. What we're doing is just basic HTTP auth and the user is in there. So this is a list of every user that you put into Elasticsearch.
Okay.
And you can get pretty deep and have different limits on what users have access to and things like that. Right now, we only have 1 user, and the user is named admin, and their role is they're an admin. Easy enough, right? So let's take that read-only true out of there. That doesn't actually even seem to be enforced. Just delete the whole line. Do you want to change the username that you use for your admin? Because it doesn't have to be admin. You can make it like JJ.
Admini. That's the default one I use.
Admini?
Yep.
All right. So now there's that password hash. So I'm assuming that you can't generate bcrypt hashes in your head.
No, not really.
So there is a tool, and I'm double checking where it is and the quick way to get to it. So what you're going to want to do is drop out of here. And I apologize for not being super prepared today, but I'm putting together the command for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they wrote this tool, it's very picky about pathing. Like you can't just copy the tool somewhere else or symlink it. So this command here will show you the path that it's at. And let me also explain what's going on there once you run it. You can do like an ls on that path I sent you. So do you see how I'm saying, you know, take the output of hab, package, path, open distro, Elasticsearch, ODFE?
Mm-hmm.
Try running just that, the hab command that's hidden in there.
Okay.
So when you install a habitat package, or actually when you build it, you have a version number of the package, and then it also puts a build timestamp on there. So even if I released a new version of the package, but I didn't increment the version number, you'd be able to look at the timestamps of them and tell that I did that. And you'd be like, oh, these two are different. Even though the guy who made it didn't tell me they're different, I know that they're different. And that might be because I rebuilt it and an upstream library changed or something. But now you can look at it and you know exactly, if you install that full string, that's the exact version on there. If you look in that 0701 directory, right now it only will have that one subdirectory, but as you install new versions, you can see multiple different ones in there.
Okay.
So it gives you a lot of accountability as to, like, you know, if you look at that build hash, this has a very specific build of Java. It has the very specific, none of the underlying infrastructure changed. So it gives you some of the abilities that you get with containers, because if you hand it off to your ops team and you're the dev, you know it's going to get the same version of Java you had in your dev environment because it's packaged up in there.
Nice.
So the tool is actually hidden under that path, which is why I gave you that little helper to get the path, because that's going to be a little bit different. And there are two tools in there we care about. One is hash.sh and the other is securityadmin.sh. So run hash.sh.
No Java.
Oh, you got to set. So you got to set your Java home, and let me show you a quick trick to do that. Do export Java home equals. It's, yeah, all caps. And then $paren hab package path core / open JDK 11. There, you now have a password hash you can put in that file.
Perfect. Okay.
Now, that security config command is what we use to apply the changes. And that one is going to take a lot of flags. I'm going to give you it from some automation, so it has a bunch of junk in it.
Okay.
But you can take that and start cleaning it up. So what you're going to need to tell this command is, so first you want to run it very similar to how you just ran that hash.sh. Yeah, Control C that. I'll walk you through it actually. So we need to gather a few little bits of information.
Mm-hmm.
First, which IP address is it listening on 9300 for? So do netstat-ntlp. All IPs, cool. So we can connect to localhost and get there. So start with the, so go up to the command you ran for the hash before.
Mm-hmm.
And replace hash.sh with security admin.sh.
Okay.
And then, yeah, add -h to that for host and give it localhost.
Mm-hmm.
And then -p for port and give it 9300.
Mm-hmm.
This is really interesting. It doesn't use the API port. It connects like it's a cluster member and injects the stuff that way. It's really weird. -ca cert. It's one word. And then /hab /SBC /Elasticsearch -ODFE. No dash, it's Elasticsearch and then dash and then ODFE. Yep. And then if you look up at the command I gave you earlier, there's a config certificates myrootca.pem. Yep. Now you're going to need to add the other two certs. So the next one is going to be -cert. It's going to be almost the exact same path, but it's going to be the ODFE admin.pem. And the key, which will be -key, and then the ODFE admin key. This is all stuff that I'm automating through a little sidecar script, so that you don't ever have to deal with this. But it's the way the world is at the moment. And then you see there's some more flags there. Just grab those, and then give it the path to your copy of the security config directory, wherever you copied that out to. All right.
Looks like you did it.
Yay! So now try connecting with your new password. So the username is now admin.
There we go.
All right. So now, basically, you can put in any SSL certs that you need, because you can just drop them into that TOML file and apply it.
Okay, so the CA would be there. Admin cert. So we would create two certs for it, but okay.
Yeah, and you can actually, and it won't actually let you use the same cert for both. and both certs need to be signed by the same CA. So you do need to make 2 certs.
Okay.
There's another bit of config that I left out. So we'll put it in that patch.toml, but we won't apply it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing that I should bring up, there is no config patch. There's only config apply. So if you made a toml file with like 1 key and you applied it, you'd wipe out all the other config. That's why I was saying you're going to want to keep the same config around.
Interesting.
It is possible to query the API to see what has been applied. And what we're doing is basically making automation for our own app that lets users toggle things, and then the automation figures out what's applied and merges in the config.
Got it.
So grab the top part of that second patch, the Open Distro security stuff, and put it in there right under the Discovery Zen ping unicast.
Wait, so delete these 2 lines?
No, just no. Those are comments that I left for you. But move those comments down, like put some white space above them. Those are comments for if you come put your own cert in, you want to know this.
Got it.
Run it through this command to make it.
Got it.
Take them, and then drop in the config there.
Config?
It's the top part of patch 2 that I sent you earlier.
Oh, whoops. Totally missed that.
Yeah, it's like 6 lines. Do a quick explanation of what they are and why you'll need them. Because if you get your own certs, you're going to need to change these lines. And that is perfect. Now, allow unsafe demo certificates doesn't actually matter, but I think it was defaulted to true. There are some certificates that roll with the actual Elasticsearch ODFE, like RPM. And we're using different ones from that, so that doesn't matter. The important one is the node DN and the admin DN. And if you notice, that's a list. So you could actually create 3 certs, 1 for each server, if you wanted to do it that way. Or you can just put the same cert on all the servers. Everyone I've worked with has just wanted to put the same cert on all 3 servers. Another interesting thing is, so you can grab the subject from a certificate with OpenSSL. However, OpenSSL returns the subject in the opposite order that this does, that this wants it, which is super annoying. So you'll have to flip them around. Like, actually, I'll show you that. So just copy that nodes DN line. And then on your terminal, just echo the line so we can see it after we run this command. Okay, so run OpenSSL X509 and then -in in, yeah, and then /hab/SBC Elasticsearch-ODFE, and then config certificates, and there should be a node certificate. If you hit tab, it should auto-complete. Yeah, ODFE node.pem. And then add -text and -no out to this.
Yep, there it is.
So if you look at this, you might even do a grep-i subject on there.
Yep.
You see it's exactly backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So if you generate your certs to write that line, you'll have to take the subject and flip it around and remove the white space.
Mm-hmm. That is annoying.
That took me way too long to figure out. It has to do with like how the Java library they're using looks at certs as like both of them are technically valid ways of displaying it, and they just do it the opposite way of each other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you do dig into that and get your own Let's Encrypt cert, that's something I just wanted to warn you about.
Seems reasonable.
And basically, any subject that it sees that matches that list and is signed by the same root CA that it started with is someone it'll allow into the cluster.
Hmm.
So that's how you can limit what has access to join the cluster as a server. And what you could do is you could have a separate certificate for each server and have like the node name be in there. And then you could put in your config literally a list of what servers are allowed to be in this cluster. So the only way to be in the cluster would be to have the SSL cert of one of the certificates or have compromised whatever process you use for generating SSL, which if that's compromised, you're already hacked pretty bad.
Yeah, you have bigger problems.
Yeah, so now you have this cluster. You can change passwords easily. You can change SSL certs easily. All traffic between nodes is encrypted. No non-encrypted traffic is allowed. It just rejects any connections that are not HTTPS.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you use this cluster, you're in a much better position to not get hacked. And the cluster is accessible through HTTP basic auth, which any developer should be able to handle.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a much better situation to be in. You're much less likely to leak important data out onto the internet. I don't think we have enough time to really get into Kibana today. However, Kibana in this environment, you literally just have to put a username and password in its config file and put HTTPS on the URL, and it'll connect and be fine.
Wow.
You can also put an SSL cert on Kibana, which you should. You can also put authentication on Kibana, which you should also do. But yeah, there's a ODFE Kibana package that has all the SSL options available.
Nice.
And that one's a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible to set up Kibana to manage all of your users, so you don't have to use that security config stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't worked with that very deeply. What I'm working on right now that is going to make its way into this package eventually is there's a sidekick or a sidecar service that basically uses the ring to see what password you want Elasticsearch to have, and it just regularly connects to Elasticsearch like every minute and checks to see if it has the right password. And if it doesn't, it applies it. It basically templates out security config, does the hash for you, and then fires off that command and enforces it. So the password change would be just setting a single value in a toml and have config apply.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
This also scales up pretty well. So if you need to change the config on 20 Elasticsearch servers in a cluster, it's one have config apply.
Nice.
So any questions? Because I think we're getting to a pretty good natural stopping point.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
Cool.
I appreciate your time, and I appreciate everyone who checked in on this. I'll be posting this also to YouTube, and it seems that Thomas and I need to have another session because we still haven't even gotten the server details sent to Elasticsearch yet, which was the ultimate goal of all of this, was so I can start I can start doing some work on the machines that I have. If you have
let's do that. Let's do when we do that. Be a little bit more ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
and put together something that you can throw on all of your servers that will automatically run and send the data back to Elasticsearch.
Seems very reasonable.
We can also dig into ODFE and figure out how to give a limited user that can only talk to those indices.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Well, I do now actually have an OpenShift cluster running on my environment that I actually have to start monitoring and seeing what's going on. So I desperately need a way to do log aggregation and data analytics on it, because I'm going to be opening it up to quite a few developers soon. So having this Elasticsearch cluster to be able to do that work would be invaluable to me.
So instead of the server data, do you want to spend next Friday focusing on journal beat and metric beat and building an ops dashboard out of like Lego components that Elastic gives you?
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be no problem at all. And then we would just need to install those packages on each box and go to town.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you, Thomas, for your time. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye for now. And we will aim for the same time next week. Yeah, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks, Thomas.
Cool. Have a good one, everyone.